family of a local teenager says she never would have left home without calling.
Just praying for the best. I want my daughter home, man. And if she can't come home, I just want to know where she's at.
These posters around the towns of Livermore and Jay beg anyone with information to come forward. Posters that Richard puts up every spring, never losing hope.
Tell me what happened to my daughter. Just look me in the eyes so I can see her.
An arrest in a nearly 4-decade-old cold case. Thanks to cutting-edge DNA technology, the arrest happening exactly 39 years to the day.
When Parabon Nanolabs used that sample to create 3D models of the suspected killer's face.
It's heartbreaking. We miss her, and we're going to find her. We're going to keep looking till we do.
It's like a never-ending nightmare. It doesn't end. It keeps returning and coming back.
What if I told you a 45-year-old woman gets dropped off for a medical appointment and is never seen again? What if I said despite it being a small town in West Virginia, police were too busy to help look for her? Despite her family's personal search, Nancy Lynn Green has never been found. This year makes 20 years she's been missing. Tonight we are joined by April Green Thompson, the daughter of Nancy Lynn Green, as we discuss the disappearance and her search for her mom. Tonight we welcome April Green Thompson, the daughter of Nancy Lynn Green, who disappeared September 30th, 2002, from Wheeling, West Virginia. Welcome, April.
Hello.
How are you doing tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. We're doing well. Looks warmer there where you are than where we are.
It is. It's very warm here today.
I don't like it much above 65 myself.
Yeah, it's perfect.
It was probably around 90 earlier.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
You can keep it.
So, can you tell us a little bit about your mom, April?
Oh, sure. My mom, she wasn't your typical mother per se. She had some mental issues. So my dad raised me, but he never ever was, bad with me going to see her. He would always take me no matter where it was. She was very loving. She just couldn't always be there for me. So, wasn't a typical mother-daughter relationship, unfortunately.
Right.
So how old were you when your parents separated?
I was 6.
And that's when you started living with your dad?
Yes.
Primarily?
He had, technically he had temporary custody of me, but it was never really fought about or anything. And he always, he had custody of me. It was just temporary.
Right.
But it ended up being permanent because, it just couldn't happen otherwise. So, I didn't really realize that was something different until I started to get a little bit older and people were like, oh, you live with your dad? I'm like, yeah. I mean, to me, that was just always what happened.
Right. It seemed like that was the norm for you. So
It was totally the norm for me.
You had a pretty good relationship with your mom, though.
Oh yeah, we had a good relationship. There was times where she wasn't around.
Right.
But it really wasn't her fault. I never faulted her for that.
Right.
She was a good human. She just had a lot of problems and couldn't take care of herself, let alone a child.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, and I think it took a toll on her too. I believe, but she never let that show. But that was just my feeling that I got from it.
Yeah. So you'd said that your mother had some mental issues. Could you go into detail about that?
I'm sure she was bipolar or manic depressive. Both terms are used. I think they use bipolar more these days for that, but it's pretty much the same thing.
And she was seeking medical help with that as well?
Oh yeah, even long before I was born, apparently she had attempted suicide several times before when she was younger.
Oh,
So,
wow.
her father had gotten her some treatment then, but as she got older, my dad told me that once she had me, it was kind of like the postpartum blues just never went away and things got worse.
Oh,
But
that's too bad.
yeah, when my parents got divorced, she actually flew to Texas with my aunt, and she ended up in an institution down there for a little while at that point in time. But
do you how long's a little while?
Probably months if I had to guess. I don't know. I was 6, but she would write me letters all the time. So I have the letters still to this day.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Oh, I don't ever want to get rid of those.
No, God no.
I mean, even
So-
being that young, I still was, I enjoyed hearing from her. So.
Oh yeah. I mean, anyone would.
Oh yeah.
It's a tough thing to have to go through with that. And how old were you when she went missing? Was it 6?
Oh no, I was 6 when they got divorced. I was 22 when
Okay.
she actually went missing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're. Oh wow, I don't even know why I thought you were younger.
No,
Oh,
I
no,
really.
I'm 42 years old.
Nope. I never would have guessed that. Genuinely,
Well, thank you.
No.
I would have cut that in about half. Honestly.
Oh well,
Or
no, I was
close to it.
22 when she
So-
left, so it's been almost
so
20
you're-
years.
You're between Jeff and I. Like,
Well, there
Jeff's
you go.
under 40. You're under 40, right, Jeff?
I'm 30, 35.
Just a baby.
I getcha.
I'm pushing 50.
Oh, well, that's okay. My husband's 55, so nothing wrong with that.
Nothing good about it either.
Well, aches and pains.
Yeah.
I have
All right,
those
so-
now, though.
So at the time that your mom disappeared, can you describe that day and what you understand happened?
Yeah, I'll have to say what I understand. I was not there when it actually happened. I got a phone call at work from my aunt, and she told me that I needed to come home because my mother had gone missing. It wasn't the first time that had happened, though. So we kind of dealt with it one other time before that. But that day in particular, like I said, I was working, and I ended up going home. I was told that she left from her appointment. We took her to shock treatments like 3 times a week, I believe it was. I would take her sometimes. My aunt would take her sometimes. Well, that day my aunt took her because I was working. She told me that she dropped her off at her appointment, and you had to wait like 2 hours because it took 2 hours to do the treatment. And
wow.
when it was done, they would call you and say, you need to come and get her. Well, the story that I got was she never got the phone call to come and get her. So by those standards, she was missing for 2 hours before anybody even knew it.
Right.
Yeah. And right around the hospital where it was at, there was a bunch of a wooded area, like an abandoned road was there and a big wooded area.
Okay.
So, what happened, I have no idea really, but that was what I was told. She never went to the appointment.
So that was the last time anyone saw her, was your aunt dropping her off?
Correct. To my knowledge.
Did anyone see her go in the woods, or is that just speculation?
That was just my speculation because she had done that one other time, not in that particular area. At a different hospital, she did the same thing. She ran into a wooded area back there, and she was gone for 3 days that time.
Oh,
And-
wow.
Wow.
Yeah, she was gone for 3 days. An off-duty cop actually saw her. He knew she was a missing person, and he saw her running out of the woods, like behind that hospital. And he, obviously he grabbed her up and was like, oh, she's a missing person. And
Right.
she ended up in the institution again. Well, it was kind of like, it wasn't an institution per se. It was like inpatient, like 3-day thing.
Right.
Anytime-
Just to
anytime-
check her out, make sure she's okay.
Anytime someone's suicidal, they would take them on a 3-day hold.
Okay.
So they took her right there. And I asked her, I said, Mom, what were you doing? And she said, I knew that no one could find me out there and I was going to starve myself to death. So she had
Oh,
attempted
wow.
that time.
How long before she had actually gone missing was that?
She went missing for good in September of 2002. Sorry, 2002. That was July when she did that stunt.
Oh, so it was relatively recent then.
Yeah, it was just a few months apart.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was July to September, and she did it again in September.
Yeah.
So that
The,
was why. That was just why I was assuming that's what she did. She ran off in those woods again. I mean, it was a different
Right.
hospital, but like I said, it was a very wooded area. Now, I had several search parties for several different days that went up on that hillside all over the place, and we never found a trace of her. But it was worth a shot.
Right.
Now that was like days after, like just within a couple days after.
It was a couple days after. Well, I went myself like pretty much the day after. I went up there myself, and then like 2 days, I think it was 2 days later, I had a search party, and then I had another search party of different people that went a different day with me. Probably, I don't know, 3 days after the fact, maybe.
Yeah.
It's been a while ago. I can't really remember the details too much, but
Yeah. How?
and it was
How?
the whirlwind of emotions. So
I'm sure
Right.
I
I
can
have to
imagine.
imagine.
yeah,
How large is the wooded area behind that hospital?
I'd say a few miles long.
Okay,
Probably.
so it's fairly good size then. Someone could
It is.
very easily get lost out there.
Well, it actually. Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, we searched everything that we could. We could walk
Right. Yeah.
a few times, and like I said, we never found any kind of clothes. We never found any kind of like even a trace that maybe we thought she was there.
Right.
Anything like that.
Now, was
I
there
mean,
also
really-
a river back there as well?
Not there, no. The river's on the other side. Like that was not on the riverside.
Oh, okay.
That was more towards because you could actually go. There was, like I said, there was an old road that was closed down now, but it went up like to a little city called Bethlehem. I mean, it's still, I mean, it's kind of still Wheeling, but anyway, it's up a hill there, and like I said, it's probably a few miles,
Right.
and it was all woods. But the river's on the opposite side, like a few blocks the other way.
Now, did the hospital help you guys at all as far as like releasing any video footage, or was there any?
In that year, there wasn't any cameras.
They had
You
no
know,
cameras
so-
around the hospital.
No, not at that time. They didn't have cameras in
Wow.
that year. Because we did ask about that, and the police asked them too, and there wasn't any cameras, unfortunately. So there was no evidence of it. You
Yeah,
know.
I mean, and I think you're right to go in that area and look for her just based off from 2 months prior she did the similar thing, but we don't know if someone could have picked her up or she could have met someone or.
I don't believe that somebody would have picked her up and she would have gotten in the car willingly, because the state of mind she was in at that time, she was very paranoid, thinking everyone was out to get her, and she was afraid of people. I don't think she would have willingly gotten in a car with somebody, but she had been known in the past to hitchhike. That was not uncommon for her to do either.
Right.
Because she had gotten picked up by the police a few times over the years in different places from hitchhiking. But at that current state of her mind, I don't believe she would have gotten in a car willingly with somebody.
No.
To
Now,
try to hitchhike her.
when she disappeared, did she have any cash on her at all or wallet or anything?
I honestly don't know if she had any cash on her. Like I said, my aunt dropped her off that day. I had seen her the night before, so I'm not sure. I was told that she didn't even take her cigarettes with her, and she was a 2-pack a day smoker.
Oh,
yeah, that's
wow.
interesting.
So that's very strange, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So she didn't take them with her even to the appointment?
I don't believe so.
So it's
Which I
almost
thought
like,
was weird on
like
itself.
yeah, maybe she had a plan for it from the get-go to bail.
That was my guess.
I heard that she also did have a heart condition too, right? She was taking medicine for.
She
for
did.
a heart
I'm not
condition?
exactly sure what it was that she had wrong, but she did take heart medication.
Okay, and I
took it
think
every
it was
day.
right. It was something she took every day, right? So
Yes.
that was probably a fairly big deal.
And that didn't go with her. Her bipolar medication didn't go with her. Nothing.
Yeah.
All of that
And
was
now-
still in her apartment.
There's been no activity as far as like any credit cards or her social security used anywhere that police have
No.
seen.
Social Security wise, I went as far as attempting to claim her dead after the 7 years, because you have to wait 7 years apparently to claim a missing person dead, and she was getting Social Security disability. So I'm talking like a few months after she left, I contacted Social Security and explained the situation. Well, they told me that it was rightfully hers until the following year, because that year is when she had to file her like new medical paperwork for them. So that check continued to go into her bank account for like 10 months, I believe it was, or something. And there was no activity on that at all. Nothing.
Okay.
And
No.
she didn't have any credit cards. All she had was a debit card. Or actually, I don't even know if she had a debit card. So it might have just been a checkbook she had. Debit cards weren't really that,
Were you her only child?
I am. She has 2 sisters and 2 brothers, but I'm the only child, though.
Okay.
Now, what does the family believe happens? Just they think that she ran away like she had done previously?
Yeah, we've all kind of just thought the same thing. At first, I think everyone else believed she was coming back.
Right.
I didn't believe that. I never did for a minute. I never believed she was coming back. But they all did. I couldn't, I don't know. I just had a gut feeling. Probably 2 months after she left, I had a gut feeling that she was dead.
Yeah. But yeah, I imagine that would be pretty rough to go through, not seeing her too much in the first place, and then and then she just sort of disappears.
Yeah, I mean, I will say once I got older, she really wanted to see me more and more and more. I don't know if just mentally she felt better, or she just felt because I wasn't a child anymore she could do more with me. I'm not really sure, but we were probably actually closer when I was an adult than when when I was little.
Right. Well, that's good too. Well, I mean, because it's not really. You can kind of set your own boundaries as far as when you guys want to see each other. You guys can communicate that. You don't have to worry about it being either a court thing or having to talk through other channels about when rides can line up and stuff like that. You're an adult. You can go see your mom when you want to, right? So
right. Yeah, absolutely.
Now, did you have any kids when she went missing? Did you have any children of your own at that point?
I still don't have any children. I never wanted any children.
So I do find it a little bit odd that even in 2002 they were still doing shock treatments.
It was very rare, and she opted to do it. I don't even know why that they offered it to her, but they did. I mean, she felt like the medications weren't working anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's because she took them for so many years. They had tried to switch her medication a few times, and she just kept saying it wasn't working.
Right.
For some reason, they offered her shock treatments, and I'm talking the old school shock treatments is what they were doing to her.
Wow. I actually thought it was illegal.
That's what they were doing to her.
Right. Yeah, that blows my mind.
I think back then they were phasing it out, like you're saying, and as long as she okayed it, she would have to sign out waiver saying, yes, I'm okay with this treatment.
Right.
Unreal, though.
Yeah. Yeah, it seemed a little inhumane, but she was okay with it, so.
Do you have access to her medical records?
I do not know. I had her dental records at one time, but I turned them over to the police. So.
What kind of help have they given you over the years? Like, after she first went missing, did they bring dogs in to track her in the woods at all, or they just...
No. Nothing.
That's too bad.
It is too bad, but she was just a missing adult. She wasn't a kid. She wasn't an old person.
Right.
They said people go missing all the time. What do you do to that? I'm like, okay. So I went to the state police, but they weren't any help either.
Now, why do you think that is? Just because she's an adult?
Because of her age. I mean, she was 45 at the time, and they said, people, they wander off. They go to other cities and visit people, and they run off with their boyfriends, and they do this and they do that. I'm like, okay, but she's mentally ill. I'm like, she's mentally ill.
Right.
That should account for something, but I don't know. Apparently it didn't.
So they just never seemed to take it seriously at all, huh?
They did not. The funny thing is the guy that called me recently took it more seriously than anybody did.
Right.
Yeah.
Did family members were they helpful trying to try and find her at all?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
They've all tried.
Because I heard you. Oh yeah, go ahead.
I have her registered on that National Center for Missing Adults.
Yeah.
I did that pretty much right away. And I did get a couple phone calls from that, but nothing ever came of that either. Because they had a couple I forget what they told me, like a match, possible Jane Doe match in Akron, Ohio. So they took more DNA from us. I gave them all the dental records. I did all that, and nothing ever came of that. And then I had one other phone call, one other time from them, another possible match. But again, nothing came of it.
Yeah, your heart must drop when you get a call like that, right? Something like, "Hey, we might have found her."
Oh yeah.
I would always just be getting my hopes up. I mean,
closure would be nice.
Absolutely.
I've come to terms with it a long time ago, but closure would be nice.
Yeah.
Just to know.
Right. I'd heard that your mother said that or claimed that she kind of felt like a burden on her family.
She told me she felt like a burden to me.
Yeah, but did the rest of the family didn't treat her that way though, right?
None of us did.
Right. Yeah.
That was just, her playing out things in her head, I guess. She just felt like she was a burden to everybody.
Stuck in her own head.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it had something to do with mental illness.
Well, yeah, I would absolutely assume that that's what it was.
Yeah.
Have you seen the missing person file that the police have on her? Or is there a file that they have?
They've never shown it to me. I had to go through leaps and bounds to get the police report. I don't know why, but I did.
Now, what does the police report tell you? Nothing that you didn't already know, right?
I sent it to somebody. That's all they gave me. Whatever, that piece of paper that I sent via the messenger, that was all they gave me on the report.
Yeah, it was pretty
basic
thin.
Info.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a little bit about her and
what she was wearing that
was
day, the scars that she has, that kind of thing. What they said happened that day. It was very vague.
Yeah, it seemed it.
It was. There was one report that somebody saw her like the next day. They, a person called the police department and said, "Hey, I think I saw this woman, walking, but it was nowhere near anywhere where I thought she even could have been." I mean, it was still in Wheeling, but it was like way out of where she probably wouldn't have walked to.
How many miles do you know?
Oh, it was probably, I don't know, at least 10 miles. Maybe not 10 miles, maybe 8.
Yeah. It's still not unreasonable, right?
Definitely, no, I mean, it's not unreasonable, but,
Right. Did they look into that at all? Did they pursue that and try to investigate?
They went out there and looked, but they said they didn't see her. So,
that was it. Good enough for them. Not here. Yeah. We'll just leave. Yeah.
Yep.
That's too
pretty
bad.
much. Well, like I said, she wasn't a child who was missing, and she wasn't an elderly person who was missing.
Yeah.
So their eyes, she just ran off with her boyfriend, and I literally had somebody tell me that.
Did she have a boyfriend at the time?
No.
There's no one that she was communicating with at all that anyone knows of?
Well, there was a few people, but we contacted all of them.
Right.
They hadn't seen her or anything. And she had some contacts down in Texas from when she went to stay with my aunt. So we even contacted them. My aunt contacted them. But, she wasn't there according to them. So, yeah, I mean, it's literally just vanished. I mean, look at that Name Us site. I mean, there's how many missing people on there?
Thousands. Yeah.
Yes. Yep. And I have to go on there every year and redo that every year.
Oh, do you really?
I have to go in there and log in, change my stuff, and just if there's anything new or whatever, I have to put all that in there every year.
Okay.
And I do. I do because, like I said, they've called me twice on that. That's how they found me, was through that website. Right. So I absolutely update it every year still. I'll never stop that.
So where do you assume that she might have gone? Do you think that she is still out in the woods somewhere?
No. I've had dreams several times that she's in a river.
Okay.
I mean, how she got there, I don't know, but I've had dreams about not even dreams, nightmares.
Right.
Yeah.
I had read an interview you did one time, I think, that you talked about that.
Yeah.
About the
very
dreams.
Disturbing.
And that's why I brought up the river, because I was trying to figure out how close is that river to where she went missing.
Probably just a few blocks. It's not that far. Like I said, it's just kind of, the hospital is up on this street versus maybe 3 streets down is the river. Maybe 3 city blocks, if that.
Right. And over the course of 2 hours, I mean, she could have made a fair bit of distance.
Oh, yeah.
On foot anyways.
Yes. She absolutely could have.
Now, not to be morbid or anything, but are there bridges close by?
Oh, yes. Several.
Like high bridges that someone wanted to commit suicide, they could jump from?
Oh, yeah. Probably 2 or 3 of them. Yeah, real close. Just a
Did they-
couple blocks up the street.
Did the police ever do any sort of searches of any of the bodies of water, or was it pretty much just that search around the woods behind the hospital? And
The
that was
police
about it?
didn't do that. We did.
Oh, that
they
was
didn't
all
do
you
that.
guys. Oh,
There
okay.
was not a police officer on that with us. No one. That was all friends and family.
Yeah.
Both times.
It's nice to hear that she had plenty of family and friends to help. But
Oh yeah, I
it's
absolutely
gross
did.
that the cops wouldn't send anyone to even at least help, organize it or something, right?
I even asked. I offered them clothes that she was wearing like a day before she left. I said, "Can't you get your dogs out there and sniff and something?" Nothing.
That's awful.
Unreal.
I just got the feeling that they just didn't want to deal with it.
Right.
Here's this young girl. I was 22, so it wasn't that old when it happened. Maybe they just thought I was some young punk. I don't know. Maybe they thought I was lying. Who knows? I don't know what goes through people's heads.
Yeah.
I mean, what would be more important for them to work on in Wheeling, West Virginia? I can't imagine you guys have a huge crime rate there or anything, do you?
We never used to. It's getting a little rough these days, but back
Yeah.
then it wasn't really that bad at all.
Yeah, I think things are getting a little bit worse everywhere.
Yeah.
But
Lately,
back
it's been
then,
a lot.
right? Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, but overall, Wheeling's pretty. They call it the friendly city. For a reason. It is. It's really a good city. But like I said,
Yeah.
crime has gone up a little bit here recently.
Yeah.
Still not like a big city though. I mean, don't get me wrong. Just compared to here.
Yeah. Yeah, I live in a town of like 1,000 people, so
Jeff lives in the woods.
and I like it.
I bet.
I live in Belgrade. We've got 3 traffic lights.
We don't have any.
Oh wow. Where do you go from here? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing with something that's kind of this old that doesn't have a lot of traction as far as people talking about it.
Right.
The fact that it's not a child, because that usually garners a lot more attention. So there's a lot of obstacles to sort of overcome to get people to start asking about this or talking about it. Maybe someone knows something. So I mean, you're from the get-go, you're at a disadvantage trying to get answers for something like this.
Right. Well, that was kind of why my friend did his whole, radio thing and did it on his news site, because he said, maybe somebody out there knows something or, just something. And he just wanted to bring some more, exposure to it.
It could
Right.
be,
I mean, it maybe, and this is just me being optimistic, maybe she did get in a vehicle with someone that day and drove off and, started like another life somewhere,
I mean, it's always possible, but I don't believe it happened.
No, I know, but maybe someone saw something and might jog their memory and might have some sort of answers that might lead to finding her one way or another, right? So anything that you can do to sort of spread her message.
Exactly.
And
Exposure is great.
It's a tragedy they didn't take care of this at the time when she went missing. Give you the dogs that you needed, or even like a few months or a year later, go out with cadaver dogs and look around. Like, I mean,
I couldn't get him to do it 2 days after, let alone a year later.
it's
It
just
got to the point
unbelievable
where
to me.
they got to the point where they wouldn't even call me back. The police when I call them. And then
Unfortunately, that's not extremely uncommon.
Yeah, it's just like I said, I just felt like they just really didn't care.
Right.
Another missing person,
Yeah, or just one less person to worry about.
Well, that too, maybe. You never know. Yeah, in their eyes. I mean, not that she was all, getting locked up all the time or anything, nothing like that. I mean, but still.
Right, right.
Yeah. It's a horrible, horrible situation, but
Yeah.
I learned to live with it a long time ago. I didn't have a choice.
Now, what would you feel would be closure? Is it finding her or is it something different?
Finding a body. Just so I could, have that closure.
Right.
I mean, in
actually
my
say
heart.
goodbye.
Right. I mean, in my heart, I know she's dead. But, it's just, there's always that little itty bitty thing in the back of your head saying, what if?
Right.
So.
Yeah, just some sort of an answer, right? As to what might have happened that day where she went, any sort of a clue would be a good news, right?
I mean, I've even often thought maybe by some chance she ended up in some other state at some mental institution and has no idea who she is. I mean,
at this point with DNA, I think they would have probably run something by now, but
I mean,
at the time,
this
who
was
knows?
my thought years and years and years ago, not now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would hope with all the DNA we get. I mean, because me and my other two aunts, we all gave DNA. You know what I mean? And they had her stuff. They had her hairbrush. They had, you know what I mean? They have the DNA. It's there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would think that they would be able to do that. Yeah, if you had a Jane Doe.
So there's only been 2 that they even questioned, maybe your mom, but did they ever contact you back? You said nothing came of it, but did they at least contact you, say it was not a match?
The one time they did. The other time I ended up calling them and they told me it wasn't a match.
Okay.
But yeah, it was. Both times they told me it was no match.
Yeah, she was a pretty small lady, wasn't she? She was like 5'2", 5'4", 120 pounds.
No, she was 5'6". She's taller than me. She's about 5'6".
Where did I I got that
because the
information wrong from somewhere.
Smaller than she was.
Oh, okay. So that's great police work.
Police
Okay,
report
that's where.
Yeah, I was like, that's not what.
That's where I got my information, was the police report. My mistake.
They don't want to do anything. You think they can do what they did right? The little stuff that they did do? No.
You would think. I even told him it was wrong. Did they fix it? Nope.
Apparently not. No.
No, they didn't.
They didn't even bother putting whiteout on it.
No, nothing. Now you know why I feel so frustrated.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Yeah, it sounds like it's been nothing but an uphill battle.
Yeah, it has been.
Do you think you're gonna reach back out to the police anytime soon and ask for a missing person case, like what they have for records on her case?
I probably could do that. I mean, that guy did call me recently. I mean, I've heard from him like probably 3 times since he took the case over.
Because I can't believe what you sent us is all they have on the case, but I mean, it very well could be, because it sounds like they weren't concerned at all. So
they weren't. They still weren't. I mean, this guy does seem like he cares. I'll give him that.
Now, what's his name?
Sergeant Safried.
All right, because I want to give a shout out to him, because he sounds like he's trying to do things the right way. So
he is. Kudos. Like I said, he took over for the other detective that retired, and like I don't know how long he had been on, but he said, I hate to rehash things, but this, I'm, Sergeant Safried from, Wheeling Police Department, and he's like, I just took over, and I have all these, old cold cases, and I've been reading over them all, and he says, this one really, really struck me as odd. And he's like, I really want to look into it. And he's called me a few times. He really has.
Nice.
Well, good. That's at least someone's doing something, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I like I said, I feel like he actually cares.
Right. And you'd think that would be kind of a big deal, being a police officer in the first place, right? It's weird that it only took 20 years for one of them to show up. We don't hate police officers or anything here, but it garners a lot of trust being a police officer. So when it seems to happen so often that there's an asshole amongst them,
right?
Like that, it hurts when people who are supposed to be in those positions of, respect and authority really abuse that trust.
Well, like I said, the one told me she probably ran off with a boyfriend.
Right.
I'm like, why would you say that to somebody?
Right, the daughter of the missing person. Yeah. Like, it's one thing if you think it, like, okay, maybe she ran off, but you don't say it to their daughter. It's like, no, she just doesn't care about you. She's off with some guy.
That's what I felt like he was saying to me, and I'm like, dude, you don't know. I'm like, just
right. Right.
How is your dad doing?
My dad has passed away.
He did pass away? Okay.
He passed away in
2010?
No, 2009.
2009. Sorry to hear that.
He had cancer.
Oh.
Was he questioning the disappearance too?
What's that?
Was he questioning her disappearance the whole time too?
Not really. I mean, they had a big falling out when they got divorced, so he only cared about her because it was my mom.
Right.
He cared about her for my sake. Like I said, he
Yeah.
never forbid me from seeing her. He always took me to see her and stuff, but he wouldn't go look for her with me. He
wasn't super invested in it.
No, he wasn't. I mean, I can't blame him.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I can kind of understand, I guess, but at the same time, it's a little cold, I
There's
guess.
a lot of people that were upset with him because he didn't do that, and they said you should have been there for your daughter. But
right, and that's kind of what I'm thinking too. But I mean, I guess
it
I
sounds
can
like
understand it.
it sounds like he was there for his daughter for many years. So.
Oh yeah, he
Well,
was. But people were just upset that he wouldn't go out there and look with me. I mean,
Right.
it bothered me that bad that he didn't, because I figured, you know what? I don't know what happened with them two. I was 6. I don't know.
Right.
You know what
Right.
I mean?
You know what your dad's done for you. It's right.
Exactly. So it didn't bother me that bad. It bothered other people way more than it bothered me. But
No, they never, like, the other people weren't accusing him of anything wrong.
Oh
doing,
no,
right?
no, nothing like that. No, they were just saying, why didn't you go look? You should have been there for your daughter.
Yeah.
But like I said, it is what it was. Just like, okay. He obviously had a beef with her, and that's why they got divorced, and I get it.
Yeah.
Like I said, he always took me to see her and stuff, so he did what he needed to do. I didn't fault him for it.
No.
No, I don't blame you.
Nah. He was a good man.
He sounds like a pretty good guy, so.
Oh, he was, that's for sure. I mean, they always say it takes a village to raise a kid. Well, he had a village, let me tell you. That he did.
So, is there anything else you want to tell us before we let you go, April, or anything you want to share with us?
No, I think I told the story. I mean, you know what I know.
Well, we really appreciate you joining us and sharing your mom's story, and obviously Jeff and I both hope the very best for you, and that your answers will be found.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah. I'm really happy you got someone who's actually looking into it for you too, with that police officer there. What was his name again?
Sergeant Safried.
Sergeant Safried. Well, thank you, Sergeant Safried.
Yeah, and make sure he gets a copy of this. Send him the link. He can hear you say good things about it. Maybe he'll want to pursue it even further.
There you go.
Or maybe some of his buddies will be like, "Oh, they'd say nice stuff about me if I did my job too." Cool.
That could be.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you again. We really appreciate you speaking with us.
Oh, you're welcome, and thank you.
All right. Have a good night.
Anytime.
You too.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
If you have any information about the disappearance of Nancy Lynn Green, please contact the Wheeling Police Department at 304-234-3781. And as always, thank you for joining us.
The search for 5-year-old Taylor Williams led investigators to Alabama this week.
So we have some breaking news from Florida. An arrest has been made in connection.
After years of agony, a glimmer of hope for the family.
Investigators spent hours searching through this house off Pennsylvania Avenue.
What could be a major development in the search for missing Alabama teenager.
Tonight, a stunning twist in the search for Taylor.
Somebody out there knows something.
They want to lay him to rest their way, not by somebody else's way.